at that, you can see there on the top of the bluffs are 2 or 3 layers, and at the bottom are several layers. And there are probably layers in between, but it's all eroded out. This view, of course, looks very much like most of the lava fields that we've seen. Because basically it's all the same dynamic that's caused them. Okay, this is the Fleener Chimneys. I'm just reading this. Hot magma from deep within the earth create many different kinds of structures. At some vents, highly fluid lava flows in thin sheets. In other places, hot gases shoot up, cinders and ash. Here at Fleener Chimneys, volcanic gases propelled large paste-like globs of lava into the air, which fell back and plastered themselves into 3 irregular spatter cones. The chimneys straddle a large block fault, which provides a natural conduit for magmas coming from deep below. The short path up to the chimneys here follows an open lava tube. Can we see how it was formed? Now this is interesting. They apparently have cleaned out the debris in here, but you can see that both sides of it have somewhat that curve. And they were probably, either because of this roundedness, either it never formed an upper surface or it caved in and they removed all the debris. But certainly it fits with our understanding that the lava flowing cools on the outer side first, and so the center keeps moving. And if it's moving fast enough in volume, it leaves a tube behind it. Tell me this wouldn't have been an ideal place for a small band of Native Americans to live occasionally. That has a very thin wall, which is interesting. I wonder what the difference is and conditions are to generate a thin wall versus the normal thick ones that we see. Now this curious texture is apparently the result of those blobs of stuff flying up, as opposed to just lava flowing out like a thick syrup. You can see lots and lots of air in here. And notice the colorations here. Whoa. Look at that. Huh. First time I've ever seen that. Like the chute that the lava came flying out of. Or the vent, duh. Perhaps it was much taller than it is now. This looks like some kind of a side vent chute. And so does this, unless the whole thing is just a cracking when it cooled. That may well be it. Or stuff might have flown out of there, I don't know. But you can see lots of different colorations here. The silver, the red from the iron. And you can see what looks like globs, like that thing right there. If that's what they're talking about, and same thing with that. Here you get some sense of the globular blobs of stuff. Wow, here's another tube that goes down farther, almost farther than the camera can see. But I think that's the bottom there where there's a rock maybe sitting up there. They've covered this with a very substantial grating to protect the dummies from falling in, which they will try to do. Notice they've even moved that rod there somehow. Someone's pulled on it to try and get it to move. This material is strange. This looks like, I don't know what it looks like. It looks like a piece of ash, and to some degree it is, but it's very lightweight. I mean, very lightweight. And filled a lot of holes, and has a shininess to it. Here also you get some sense of the globular nature of this stuff. How it fell in globs and put another layer on. Somewhat like some kinds of sculpturing. Put on pieces of clay and then push them in with their thumb, I think the artist does. And here we have another vent. There's apparently 3 of them up here somewhere. This is the second one we looked at. Notice the colorations. Well, notice the algae too. How pretty that is. And notice the configuration. For some reason, it's elliptical. Apparently, many of these holes were filled in by the Park Service at one time, another one of its erroneous efforts to do something. But then in later years, having discovered that was not probably the necessary smart idea, tons of rock were in turn removed, providing us with these more realistic views now, but there still appears to be a ton of stuff down in there. And it almost looks like it's going down in a cone shape. This is why I like coming to places like this and traveling like this. I always find something new that's interesting, that adds to the knowledge you had, and just another curiosity that I didn't know about. To me, everything is a curiosity. This that I'm videoing now is an illustration of fractured land, and it's called graben and something else, but I'll show you a picture of it in a second. But those escarpments that we see up there, those cliff edges that are tipped slightly away from us to the left. This is the diagram of it here. And this is where we saw the lava at the top and then lava down at the bottom. And the block movement of the graben is down. This has got a name, the movement that goes up, but the down movement is called the graben, and forms the basis for this Tule Lake here. And this is Balcony Boulevard Caves. Now here are some caves, but there's a more dramatic. You can see they were bigger and deeper. And it looks like they collapsed relatively recently. They remind me of the cenotes in the Yucatan, which in fact are limestone sinkholes down into the vast cave system of the limestone that underpins the Yukon, but that's not the case here. Here's a fairly good-sized cave with what appears to be a fairly thick ceiling, but notice how the tube was relatively narrow and flat, except for the center part here. How it got formed like this is very interesting. You notice all this stuff here oozing out. It must have been a 2-level cave. Apparently we can go down inside, so I will.